Hey, I'm Roy Furr with Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. And for today's video, we're going to do another one big idea video where I talk to you about the most influential idea that I got from an important book. And for today, we're going to be talking about Instant Influence by Michael Pantalon, Dr. Michael Pantalon. And this book it's really interesting because it actually comes out of an area of research that is not actually sales or selling or marketing or another persuasion field in the traditional sense. It actually comes from a psychologist who helps who does research on emergency medicine. And that's Dr. Pantalon. He helps ER doctors do their jobs better from a psychologist perspective. And one of the challenges that he had, one of the challenges that he was presented by ER doctors was how to influence alcoholics who are in the emergency room because of their drinking problems to actually change their behavior for the long run. And the limitation put on this is that the average visit between a doctor and a patient in the emergency room is like 7 minutes long. And so the challenge is how to have that influence in as little as 7 minutes, a 7-minute conversation, and have it last and go on and go forward and make a long-term impact on the patient's life. And so the other thing that's happening there is that the doctor comes into this persuasion situation with little to no credibility. Sure, they have the white doctor's coat on, and they have some credibility associated with their stature, but these people are alcoholics who are in the emergency room for alcoholism, and they're not necessarily going to, and often they're at least somewhat inebriated while they're in the emergency room for this. They're not necessarily going to say, oh, well, you're the doctor that I trust, and so I'm going to change my behavior just because you say so. No, the challenge is to actually be influential in a situation as difficult as that and to have it stick. And I found that this book was incredibly fascinating and interesting. And actually last week I wrote a few articles about it. I'll make sure those get included with this video in the description. I wrote about how to use it in influential conversations with others, how to use it in influential conversations with yourself. And yeah, I did talk a little bit about what you're going to get as far as the one big idea. But I also wanted to do this in video format because I feel like it gets through on another level. I've been thinking about it a lot. I don't think that there's a problem with you hearing this message more than once, thinking through this message more than once. It continues to influence me every day since I actually listened to the audiobook as opposed to read it. So let me back up a little bit and tell another story. So at the risk of my kids coming back to me and giving me a hard time in the future because I tell some stories about them, I want to tell a story about this morning and about my 5-year-old daughter and getting dressed. And she has this thing that she does where she doesn't really want to pick out clothes to get dressed in. And it can be frustrating sometimes because her thing is she doesn't want any of her outfits to be dirty. She wants everything to still be an option. She doesn't want it to be in the dirty laundry so she can't wear it another day. So she always asks, like, when are we doing laundry next? All those things. And it leads to paralysis by analysis. What am I going to wear? What am I going to wear? I don't know what to wear because I don't know what I'll be okay with being dirty between now and the next time that we do laundry. So this morning I asked her to get dressed and she's not ready. She says she doesn't want to get dressed yet, but there's a limited window of time before she has to go to school. And so she has to get dressed. She has to get dressed. Really, it's time. It's time to get started. So the option is not there to let her not get dressed. And I got frustrated for a minute and I really wanted to try to force her to get dressed. And the thing is, the harder you try to force someone to do something, the harder it is to actually get them to do it. They tend to dig in their heels. They put up resistance. You put up resistance. And the more each of you resist, the less likely the outcome that you want is going to be. And so I had to pull back after getting frustrated about it. I had to pull back and I said, okay, you know what? You don't have to change clothes right now. You don't have to get dressed right now. But what's going to happen is if we get to time to go to school and you're still wearing your pajamas that I know that you like to wear every night, you're going to have to wear those pajamas to school. And those pajamas are going to then go in the dirty laundry, and you're not going to have them again until it's time to do laundry again. Well, she thought about that for a second, and she was angry at me for that. But she also then made the decision that that was a strong enough motivator for her, with her own criteria, with her own reasons why, that, okay, I better change clothes now so I can go to school in clothes that are not the pajamas that I want to wear to bed tonight and then next night and the next night. Because I know that of all her clothes, she likes to wear those pajamas the most. Her mom made them for her for Christmas. So I had to step back and I had to say, okay, this is not my decision. I can't make you get dressed. I could drag you into your room and it would be painful for everybody. And I could pull clothes off and put clothes on, and it would be a horrendous, terrible experience. Or I can say, I know that you want to wear those pajamas tonight, and I'm going to let you make your own decision. And you can make that decision knowing that the consequence is, if you wear your pajamas to school, they go in the laundry. And because I was speaking to her reasons why, and because I pulled back and I stopped trying to make the decision for her, but instead I let her make the decision, knowing full well what the consequences were, she begrudgingly made the decision that I needed her to make in the moment. And, it stinks because 5-year-olds typically don't reason in the same way that a grown-up mind reasons. And so some of that can be frustrating, and that stuff can come up over and over again. And it's understandable because she's 5, right? But what was true then, and what is true whether you are speaking to a 5-year-old or a 25-year-old or a 55-year-old or an 85-year-old, is that we all want to make our own decisions. We all want to be autonomous. We all want to ultimately have our fate and our destiny be up to us, and not have our behaviors and thoughts and choices forced upon us by other people. And we're going to make those decisions for our reasons. We're going to make those decisions for our reasons why, what we want to do, what is important to us. And somebody may try to influence us. Somebody may try to sell us on something, whether that's a commercial transaction or just persuasion in general. Someone may try to get us to do a certain thing, to want a certain thing, but we will only do that or want that or behave in whatever way when it aligns with our own desires, our own autonomy. And so from a persuasive standpoint, the best thing that you can do, the absolute best thing that you can do, is really try to get inside the head of the person that you're trying to persuade, to connect with them and understand their reasons why they want to do something, their reasons why they would move forward with something. And from that understanding, lead them toward whatever outcome, lead them toward whatever decision you are hoping to lead them toward. And so in that case, it was me knowing that my daughter would want to wear her pajamas again tonight to bed and not want them in the dirty laundry until laundry day. And the way that she would ensure that would be changing clothes before she went to school. And so getting back to the book, getting back to Instant Influence, it says how to get anyone to do anything fast, the only motivational approach scientifically proven to succeed in less than 7 minutes. And the foundation of this entire book is that you must respect someone else's autonomous decision. You must respect their reasons why. You can only get them to behave in a certain way when it is in complete alignment with why they would want something to be true, with why they would want to make a certain decision, with why they would want to make a certain change, with why it's important to them. And the entire book, the process goes through how to actually have a conversation that lasts 7 minutes or less, a series of questions. Those are actually in the articles linked with this video that elicits that from them. But more foundationally, the one big idea that I found to be most important in this book, and that I keep coming back to, that to me is the most profound lesson for anybody involved in any kind of persuasion, whether that's parenthood or direct response marketing, is that you can never force someone to make a decision in your favor. The only thing that you can do is you can give them the opportunity to make the decision that you want them to make in full consideration and respect for their own reasons why that is the right decision for them. Yeah, that you can bring up consequences. It's often counterproductive, as the book talks about. You probably don't want to focus on the consequences as much, especially in commercial persuasion. And people know the consequences. You don't need to when I actually had the epiphany that that's what I needed to connect this to for my daughter, changing out of the pajamas that I knew she would want to wear, it wasn't about rubbing in the consequences. When I'm using the wrong reasons why, when I'm using my reasons why, I have to try and rub in the consequences, and it just feels terrible, right? And that's it, because it doesn't work. I just try rubbing in the consequences. That's putting up resistance. That's doing exactly what is not going to work in persuasion. But as soon as I mentioned that, it was a switch, because she knew that that was a consequence that she didn't want. And I didn't even have to convince her of anything. I didn't have to push. There was no resistance. It was just, well, okay, you can make that decision. You don't have to change clothes right now. If you make that decision, here's what's going to happen. And it completely shifted the conversation and made it less about resistance and more about recognizing that, okay, you want this thing to be true. And so here's how you're going to make sure that it's true going forward. And that's, and putting the ball in her court, giving her the decision, saying, okay, well, if you choose path A, this is what's going to happen. If you choose path B, this is what's going to happen. And I can't make you make a decision. Of course, yeah, I have my own preference as to which path you're going to take as your dad, as the guy who's trying to make sure you're ready for school. But I can't make you choose. Even as a 5-year-old, I can't make you choose. But I can show you these two paths and where they lead. And then you're going to make your decision. And all persuasion is like that. Anytime we want to convince somebody of something, anytime we want them to get to take a specific action, anytime we want them to behave in a certain way, we cannot force it on them, maybe under the barrel of a gun, but they're not going to be happy about it. They're not going to choose. They're not going to feel like it was their decision. They're not going to maintain that behavior for the long run. And that goes back to the emergency room thing. Sure, a doctor can get an alcoholic to not drink for the rest of the night, an emergency room doctor. But if the emergency room doctor gets the alcoholic to think about their family and the most important relationships that have been suffering recently because they are not in control of their alcoholism, and how, and this person also says, and I can't believe I'm here in the emergency room, this has clearly gone too far. And then the person starts to come up with all these reasons, these consequences that they've recognized. And not only that, they come up with the flip side of why they want to make different decisions going forward, why they want their outcome to be different. Well, that person is going to start to envision a better future that doesn't involve the same destructive behavior. And that's what this conversation is designed to elicit from them, get them moving in the right direction. And it all comes down to, it all goes back to that one big idea that is, you can't make anyone do something. You can't make anyone think a certain way. You can't make anyone make a certain change. You can't make anyone believe a certain way. All that you can do is you can foster that thinking, that decision in them, and then let them come to their own conclusion. Let them make their own decision. And I just find that to be such an incredibly powerful principle of persuasion that I don't believe any book that I've read prior to Instant Influence was so explicit and clear about from a research-backed perspective. And so with that, I wanted to make sure that even though I put it on hold for a week after I wrote the articles, that I did come back and I do this one big idea video about about instant influence by Dr. Michael Pantalon, and strongly encourage you to pick up this book and go much deeper with it. So if you like these videos, if you like this one big idea video, if you are in the field of influence, of persuasion, of marketing, copywriting, selling, direct response, business building, entrepreneurship, or simply want to communicate better and get people to take action in a specific way, I encourage you can subscribe to me on YouTube. You can also go to breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com. I'll include the link with this video, as well as a link to get that book on Amazon if you're interested. I would encourage you to go to my site, breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com. Monday through Thursday, I put out an essay would be interesting to you if you're watching this video. And on Fridays, I put out these videos as well, mostly focus on one big idea from books that have strongly influenced me in my marketing and copywriting and direct response and business building career. So with that, again, I'm Furr for Breakthrough Marketing Secrets, and I look forward to seeing you again in our next video.